What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Daydreamers Reactions. I'm your host of the Daydreamers podcast, Esteban, and I'm happy that you're joining. Thank you for being a support. If you are watching here from YouTube especially, this is a YouTube exclusive, so this is obviously off the beaten path of what I normally do for the podcast. But if you're a supporter of the podcast, I appreciate you. Thank you. Look forward to more episodes on the way, of course, along with some of this stuff. Lots of other fun reactions and things. Follow me on Instagram at Daydreamers Podcast, or of course on Apple Podcast, Spotify. Find any of the episodes, any of the previous episodes you haven't checked out, go ahead and check them out. And here on YouTube, of course, we recently became a YouTube podcast, so like any of the videos, subscribe to the channel, of course, comment down below on anything you'd like to see me react to talk about, and of course any future topics or episodes you'd like me to jump on. So in any case, I'm here to, of course, react to the Avengers Doomsday special look. Now, this was an additional trailer essentially released for it that was originally released as new footage at San Diego Comic-Con. It was exclusively just to them. People leaked it, of course. And then it was showed at D23, which is like the big Disney convention for all Disney projects, whether it be films, TV shows, even amusement parks, all that good stuff. So all that to say, I have seen this footage before, but I am going to take another look at it, get a fresh set of eyes. I haven't seen it in a little bit, so I'm going to take another look at it, give my honest reaction to what I've seen already, but also just give my thoughts on what I'm looking forward to. This does obviously still excite me. I'm not somebody who's too much of a skeptic with this movie. I think there's still things that are kind of up in the air to see what they really turn out to be, but I am excited for this movie overall, and based on what I've seen so far. You know, I mean, I secured my tickets already, so I'm obviously excited to go check it out. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and pop this video up and give you my honest reaction, and then we're going to see exactly what I'm going to give my thoughts right afterwards and see what I got on my mind here. So let's go ahead. Avengers Doomsday special look.
Victor was always the smartest guy in every room. He used to be different.
Oh, the logo's so dope.
He used to be kind, he used to be caring. And then everything he loved was taken from him. I knew he was lost, but I did not realize
These dudes, this guy's arms, bro. I can't.
he was broken.
Oh my gosh.
Did you do this? All of you have lived stolen lives. But now you must give them back.
Answer me, Victor! Did you do this? I swear, you will beg for hell long before I grant it.
Hell answers to me. For I am Doom.
Yeah, man. You know, I don't know if it's the fact that, I mean, so much is still on my mind after watching it now. I've watched it a few times, but watching it again right now, the first thing that comes to mind, honestly, is, because a lot of people are saying that this isn't hitting the same as the other Avengers movies. I'm going to tell you this. It's not. I agree with that. I think that's kind of the point. I think to a degree, maybe I'm giving them too much credit. I don't know. Marvel Studios, they usually have a reason for the way they do things. And I know a lot of people lately have kind of fallen off of keeping track of all the projects. And it's been a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm one of those people that hasn't watched every single Marvel project since the last Avengers movie. But, I've done the best that I can to keep up with a lot of the bigger projects. But I feel like this one is meant to feel very different. I don't think the tone is going to be the same. I think, even hearing that theme, that iconic Avengers theme at the end of the trailer, I don't think it's meant to feel exactly the same. It's going to give you some of the same nostalgia, seeing some of the characters and probably even little hints of like what we've seen before and things that have been hinted at. Like, I know there's probably going to be a lot of those moments, like what was probably the equivalent of in Avengers Age of Ultron, when you see Steve, everyone's trying to pick up the hammer, Thor's hammer, and then Steve kind of like gently picks it up, and then Thor looks at it like, oh shit, is he going to pick it up? And then they don't call that back until Avengers Endgame, years later. I feel like there is going to be moments like that in Avengers Doomsday, especially because we have characters literally that have never interacted before, that a few years ago we didn't even know if that was going to be a possibility. And now, the Avengers interacting with the X-Men, and having new teams introduced like the Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four that are now all going to be essentially dealing with the same conflict with Doctor Doom. Now, all that said, I think I like the tone of this. This is definitely probably going to be the darkest of any Avengers movie that we've seen, and probably one of the darkest Marvel MCU projects altogether. I do think that, another thing that we're going to probably see more of in this is we're going to see probably some characters not make it out. And that's kind of the tone that they're giving as well. Now, this movie is also attached to the follow-up, the sequel, or the next rendition of the Avengers films that are going to be Avengers Doomsday and then Avengers Secret Wars. And they're going to be tied together. And I believe, as far as we know, Doctor Doom is going to essentially be the villain of both of those films. Now, I look back at this trailer, and there's quite a few different, shots that I really like. I mean, I love the fact that somebody pointed out that all of the posters for Avengers Doomsday, none of them have anybody else in them but Doom. And I love that, because now it's like, we saw what they did with Thanos in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. And, it was all about like, he has his own mission. Like, he feels like he's fulfilling this prophecy. He's this prophet that is meant to save the world, and he feels that what he's doing is the best way that he knows how, and that he almost has this God complex of like, I've been through my share of suffering, and nobody else understands this scenario the way I do. So I really truly feel like what I'm doing is the right thing for the greater of the universe. And I feel like this is what Doctor Doom's intro, or what his character's purpose is going to be, but dialed to an 11. And it's going to be a lot more complex, right? Because Thanos lived his own reality. He didn't know many of the Avengers or anything, have any much familiarity other than what they were capable of against their enemies, right? So, he didn't have a whole lot of ties to it. In this one, there's a lot of conversation about like Doctor Doom, having lost. I mean, there's a shot right here, like this shot of him like looking at that tapestry, this big like tapestry on his wall, which is what everybody's alluding to, is like him having lost his wife and his kid, and that it'll be a loss due to what's considered an incursion in these movies, right? So it's basically him going to the Avengers saying, hey, I've lost family. I've lost my whole world because of this situation that a lot of you are toying around with, going back in time and causing these incursions, undoing what's supposed to be, happening in your universe. And so I think that part of it, him being centered around him, is very exciting. And I think that this movie is also going to be focused on making you feel as an audience like he's supposed to be the bad guy, but damn, it's kind of hard to disagree with him, or it's at least a little bit easier to see his point. And on top of the fact, that other layer that's going to really complicate this is like, what point in the movie are people going to realize, because it is Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom, at what point is there going to be a moment where that mask comes off and they realize, oh, this looks like somebody we know? Is it going to be at the beginning of the movie where he goes and meets with all of the characters and they all look at him like, oh, you're a familiar face. Are you just you from another universe? Like, are you a variant of Tony Stark? And you must be the good guy. Is it going to be that kind of story where he uses that to his advantage? Or is he going to, completely hide that? of himself, and that most of this movie he's masked, and only maybe at the final climax battle of this movie, where maybe he ultimately ends up winning at the end of this movie too, they recognize who this is supposed to be, and it shocks everybody, and it puts all of the Avengers, all these teams working together. It puts them on tilt, and they have no idea what to do with this reality, because now they're like they're conflicted, right? So all that to say, I love that it's being centered around Doctor Doom. I'm not somebody that's also skeptic about Robert Downey Jr. coming back to play Doctor Doom. And I think, look, there's a conversation about Marvel Studios having to pivot because of the whole situation with Kang, who was the villain that was supposed to be kind of, centering the next phase of all these Avengers films. And, they had to pivot, and they made their choice, which is unfortunate because, Jonathan Majors is a fantastic actor. I've loved some of the other projects that I've seen him in, and I feel like even as Kang, he had the potential to be a really dope villain. But I think at the same time we're gonna run into hi Papa. My dog wants to say hi. You want to say hi? Oh my goodness! You just wake up from your nap. He just woke up from a nap. Let's see. Come here, sir. You wanna come on? Let me get you up here so you can say hi. So you can say hi to everybody. So I've talked about this guy many times on the show. This is Cuddy. This is Cuddy, my pug. Let me make sure we can see him. Here. Say hi, everybody. Say hi. So he just woke up from his nap, and he probably heard me talking. Did you get excited about me talking about the Avengers? No, I was boring you with it? Okay. All right. Well, nonetheless. You okay? You good? Okay. All right. I'll be done in a little bit, all right? Say bye. Say bye, everybody. All right. Careful. There you go. Okay. Got to get the guy on camera when I get a chance. He loves the attention. So, anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, I'm not this skeptic about Robert Downey Jr., playing Doom, and I think it's despite the fact that they did have to pivot, I do also feel like there's probably a really cool thing they got to do with the story, it being somebody that's familiar. Again, it adds this complex layer of like, what do these heroes do when they have to fight somebody that is a familiar face, or that at least feels familiar to them. This idea that like, because it's Robert Downey Jr., possibly, a different version of what Tony Stark would have been in another universe, a super genius who masters technology, but in this case, Doom also masters like the mystic arts, like magic, like Doctor Strange. So he combines that and his genius of technology and the tragedy that he has. He doesn't live this billionaire playboy life. Like, yeah, Tony Stark went through his little, situation in Iraq or wherever in the Middle East he was, and then he was in a cave and had to get out and all that, and dealt with his struggles. But he never like lost everybody in his life all at once to this huge catastrophic like universal event that now the stakes are much higher. And so him having all of this knowledge and ability as Dr. Doom, again, there's just layers to it that I feel like is going to be really cool. They found a really probably poetic way to tell this story and how it's going to span across 2 movies. Now, the other thing that I love, just because of how fucking cool it looks, is there's that shot where, well, there's a couple of really cool shots here of Doom. Like, even just him sitting on his throne, like this right here, man. The again, all the different tints of like green and yellow looks super dope, and it's him. This is big in the comics, from what I understand. Him sitting on this throne, and from where he's from in Latveria, and this little glowing on the bottom is what's a lot of people think are what's called runes in this, in the Marvel universe. It's kind of, if you saw WandaVision or know a lot about the Scarlet Witch and what she's appeared in, like in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, it's a form of magic, like a spell. It's like a way to protect yourself from different kinds of like powers and stuff. And so he's gonna learn and master a lot of this stuff from what we know. That's what's gonna make him so powerful. That's, from what we understand too, makes him so powerful. Like when Thor comes down with his hammer, or with Stormbreaker, his big axe, and Doom just stops it with his 2 fingers. I guess that's because he has, you even see it on his little gauntlet or his arm, that I guess that's like a rune. That's like part of a protection spell. He learns a lot of that stuff. So again, it's technology and magic mixed together. So anyway, this shot right here of him on his throne is dope. And you can tell he's just giving what a lot of people are saying. He's just is complete aura. This dude's just sitting here like he's untouchable. And even this shot too of him, obviously a couple shots of him with his eyes, and even with his suit. The suit looks freaking great, and it's medieval, but it's technological, but it's also magic. Like all of that's really dope. But this shot right here, man, this is the money shot of the whole trailer, no doubt. Is a lot of people are skeptical, or not skeptical. They're thinking that it's either him getting thrown out of this little spaceship or whatever it is, or it's him actually flying out. Either way, it looks dope as hell. I mean, this shot right here, the way he lands too. I mean, it's such a cool, like, he doesn't even come down like aggressively in terms of his pose. Like, he just comes down super like, yep, I'm the shit. I'm here. Yeah. And this is nothing to me. Like, and I feel like if this is a shot where he was thrown out of whatever spaceship or building that is, and then he just lands gracefully the way he does, that's fucking crazy. Also, the way he looks when he's landing, some people are saying, that's like, you can see Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, getting thrown at him, and that's what pushes him out. And then he quickly turns that into him just kind of like almost changing himself and then just quickly landing using magic, or that he's time slipping. For those of you who have watched Loki, that he might be doing that as well. I don't know, but it looks fucking dope. And so, just the way he lands, man, he looks insanely powerful. Like this is another fucking Tuesday for him. And then on top of that too, they noticed that when he lands, he's wearing a different suit that when you see, or a different costume than what he's wearing at the beginning of the trailer. So they think he's going to wear different versions of this suit, and he uses that as kind of like different ways to use his magic, or he's becoming different versions. He's evolving himself. It could be a lot of different things, man. And honestly, it just looks fucking cool. I'm sorry. I'm not, people who are skeptical of this, I'm not, I'm open-minded to where this movie can go, but looking at shit like that, it's to me, even the shot of like Thor not being able to hurt him, I think is only a taste of what we're going to see of how, for us as an audience to know just how dangerous he is. I think the other really cool thing, like there's a shot here where you get a little bit of a better look, which I don't know how much people have talked about this, and I know we don't know what order this is in, but like there's this shot right here where after he blocks that hit from Thor, he like throws his axe off to the side like it's nothing, and then and when he does that, you see a little bit more of a shot of where they're at, and like I'm looking at it, and it's still hard to tell where he's at. You see all the Sentinels, all those robots on the floor, and you see kind of that spaceship in the background too, like that's kind of where Doom came from. But it's just weird because he's wearing these different armors. So I don't know what point in time all these shots take place, but you can just see like whether this is the expansion, this is New York, it's a New York that's already been destroyed. I don't know, but it looks really freaking cool. I think these are all the same shots though. I think this is all relatively the same scene, or the extension of the same scene, where they've already been in what is a destroyed universe, or at least part of a destroyed universe, where the X-Men were currently sitting. So, I feel like that's where one of these battles, like this shot where you see him, touching the ground and all these Sentinels are coming out of the ground. Like, I think this is going to be the same spot where we see like the X-Men fighting in that mansion together. I get the feeling that in the movie, when all these teams separate to kind of figure out what's going on, who Doom is, what's the conflict, we all got to work together. It's all going to then draw them back to the X-Men universe, where all these X-Men are hanging out, and that's where one of these big fights is going to happen. I don't know if this is the end fight. I something tells me it's not, because I feel like this is only like the middle of the movie. This is going to be the first time where we're going to see how powerful Doom is, how dangerous he is, and I think this is the first time all the Avengers together, at least the majority of them, are going to learn how powerful he is. And I feel like there's even going to be a couple of deaths of our heroes at this point in the movie, and it's only going to be halfway through, and that's going to be just to set the tone of how dangerous he is. I feel like there's going to be a point where we're going to first see, there's going to be probably the first third of the movie is going to be all the heroes getting together, learning who each other is, and then learning what this quote-unquote conflict is that they have to resolve, right? And I think this is also going to be, I don't know how or what Doom's involvement is going to be in convincing everybody that he is actually trying to be the good guy. He's trying to help everybody out. That's the first third of the movie. Then the second third of the movie, if you want to say, the second act, is going to be them all thinking they're making progress, and that second act, that second third of the movie is going to end with them fighting Doom, them learning how dangerous he is, that he is actually the bad guy. He's willing to do anything that he needs to prove his point, or to do what he needs to do at the end of the day, what he thinks is saving the world or saving the universe. And he fights them. He probably kills a couple of the Avengers. We don't know who, but there's going to be an emotional toll that's probably going to take. Then you have this scene where you see like Thor and all them, and like Sue Storm is kind of explaining to everybody in that room like how dangerous he really is. And I feel like those are the people that survived that fight. There might be people missing or edited out, but that's the people that survived. They probably lost a couple of people, so they're really sad about it. And then they're all learning who he really is, and then by the end, they're gonna try to come up with a plan to stop him, and they're not gonna prevail. They're not gonna succeed in time. He's gonna win, I think, at the end of this movie, and he's gonna create what they call Battle World, which I'll probably dive into it more in another episode here, or when I give more deep thoughts on this film. But like, because I do want to do a full layout thought with a couple of buddies of mine, so stay tuned for that. That'll be coming soon. But I think that will then lead into Secret Wars, which is gonna be the next film after this, as far as we know. So again, I think overall this is going to be super dope with Doctor Doom as the villain. I feel like they're going to really show how dangerous he is, how menacing he is, how and I think he's also just going to be badass. I can't remember the last time we watched a villain where it was equal parts like this guy's fucking terrifying, but also he's badass. Like, this is just fucking cool. And then just knowing that RDJ's behind it and what he's doing with the character, the accent, the different body language he's probably going to have to a degree. Because his arrogance isn't just, oh, I'm smart and I'm rich and all. No. He's just this ultimate God complex of like, I know everything that you guys don't know. I'm aware of things that you guys aren't aware of. I've lived things none of you have lived. And that's why I'm here to tell all of you that I don't care what you think is the right thing. I ultimately have the say so here because I'm more capable and smarter than any of you to make that choice. So, and it's not an argument. It's not a conversation to have. So I love that. And I think it's going to be sad to see some of these characters suffer and not make it. But I think the interactions with these characters, they're showing us very little of that. I hope that they don't reveal many more trailers where they show lots more footage other than what we see here. Kind of what they did with Endgame. I hope that the majority of this is only the first half of the movie and that we really are shocked with like the last third of this movie. So I'm excited. Let me know in the comments. Are you excited for Avengers Doomsday? Are you still skeptical? What does excite you? What doesn't excite you? Have you secured your tickets? I know I've secured mine. I'm definitely going to see this more than once, but I at least got them for opening night. I cannot wait. And I look forward to talking more about it with my buddies too and be able to give more thoughts here. So let me know in the comments what you think, what you want to see, and stay tuned for more reaction videos, and I'll see you on the next episode.